Okay, everyone, welcome to our new consultant training. For those of you that are not new, this will definitely be a refresher. In addition to that, it's actually different than the training that you have received in the past. So I always am excited to see people come back because Zig Ziglar, he was a motivational speaker. He says it takes at least 6 times for a person to truly grasp onto everything that's being covered. So coming back is always a good idea. So we're going to dive into several components of this new consultant training, and then some of the pieces of new consultant training are actually done directly with your director. So if you are a brand new consultant, you should have had at least a 30-minute phone call with your director, and she's going to be going through some of the things that we'll also touch lightly on today. But if you haven't had that 30-minute phone call, or even if you're a current consultant and coming back, it would be a good idea to set up a 30-minute phone call with your director, because we actually have new tools that are helping our new consultants get off to a much stronger start. And it's just a great way to kind of revamp your business as well. So I am always a big component of, revisiting these types of things, because things are ever changing with Facebook and with our businesses. So let's go over the agenda, and you're going to see me kind of switching my head this way and that way, because unfortunately I can't bring my computer where I need it. So I'm looking at you head on, but we have a couple of things that we're going to be going over today. One of them is the new consultant survey, but I don't know if you guys use Google Docs, but I use it pretty religiously, but it's kind of gets on my nerves a little bit because it's really difficult to find things. And that's one of the things I can't seem to find. And I put it in the same place every time, but whatever. So the new consultant survey basically is just going to give us a general idea what you're looking for, what you're hoping for, what you want to go for. And that way we can assist you and encourage you and ultimately help you get everything that you want, because nobody starts his business just to kind of somewhat make it, right? Like, we want to be a success. And that's what this whole class is about. And then we're going to go over 2 of the 7 steps. And the 2 of the 7 steps are truly the most important part of the 7 steps, because it gives you what you need to make money. And what you need to make money are parties. So we're going to teach you all kinds of things about the party in the sense of getting them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about running them. And then again, you want to make sure that you have your Zoom call with your recruiter if you haven't already had that. We're going to go over step 3, book your first parties. We're going to talk about rewards and money, and we're going to talk about how to run your parties very briefly. So let's go ahead and continue on. And if you haven't yet seen the 7 steps, this is what the 7 steps for success looks like. And for me, it is probably one of the tools that I use the most, and also one of the tools that you will likely use the most. So one of the things that your director is going to go over with you is, again, what you're looking for, how parties set up, and just the whole general beginning part of a Pampered Chef business. They'll also touch lightly on steps 1 and 2, but for the most part, steps 1 and 2, you can pretty much do on your own. If you've already been through step 2, now, if you're brand new, you definitely want to go through step 1, because we do use Google Docs religiously in our business, and we want to make sure that you have a Gmail account. So if you're brand new, definitely do that. But if you've already been through this and this is a refresher, I would suggest going back through step 2, because new videos have been created in that document, and they may just provide a helpful piece for you as you continue to work your business. So this is what the 7 steps document looks like, and we are going to navigate through heavily. Book your first parties. So we're going to reference that often as we continue to go through. So again, the very next thing that you want to do, as a matter of fact, if you haven't had a 30-minute phone call with your recruiter in a month, 3 weeks, it's definitely time to have one. I always say that my consultants should have a 30-minute phone call with me at minimum 1 time per month. My new consultants should have a 30-minute call with me at least once a week. So that's just me. Not everyone does it that way, but that's what's encouraged, because there's so many different things going on in your business. Now, sometimes my consultants don't have a second call with me, but we do so much conversing over Facebook Messenger that we don't actually need it. But I want to keep that open. So again, if you haven't had a call with your director in a while, this is a good time to say, you know what, I want to set up a 30-minute phone call with you. It'll help you with strategies. It'll help you kind of cement some of the things we're going to go over today. So before we get any further into step one, just for those of you that are brand new, may not have been introduced to me yet, my name's Lorraine, and I've been with Pampered Chef now off and on for a little over 22 years. I decided to join Pampered Chef back in 1998 because I had, at that time, a 5-month-old and I had a 5-year-old. And then along the way, also had another baby as well. But now my girls are 31, 26, and 20. So time flies by. They were absolutely Pampered Chef babies from birth, especially the 3-month-old and the 0 at that time. They knew no difference. So they were very fortunate to have me as their mom in the sense of being able to run a very successful business, but also have me at their beck and call. And I could do and go on the field trips and do all those things that some moms couldn't do or some dads couldn't do because they had to work a different job. So the beauty of this business is that obviously I didn't continue with Pampered Chef so I could go to all their functions because they got older, right? So things started to change and develop. As I came back to Pampered Chef in 2020, I came back for a very, very specific reason. One of them being I missed it terribly. So I will tell you that even there's times in my business where I'm like, you know what, I'm getting burned out, or I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, do I really want to do this? And then I'm like, absolutely, Lorraine, you are never leaving this business again because you lose so much momentum in that process. But I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be jaded in the sense of that. You may go through that. You might hit a speed bump, but I will tell you in this business, there are no brick walls. When I look at my business, if it's not where Lorraine wants it, there's one person and one problem. That's Lorraine. And I'm the problem. So I have to kind of self-reflect. And, in corporate America, if you're not getting what you want in the sense of a raise, you talk to your boss, right? Well, if I'm not getting what I want in the sense of my paycheck, I only can talk to myself. So it's okay to talk to yourself at this time with Pampered Chef. But I will tell you, there are so many highs with this business. I missed my host. I missed my customers. I miss getting free products. I miss the travel. I miss the relationships that I built through this business. And those are the things that keep me here. But one of my long-term goals, which is why I will never quit again, is I want to retire, and I want to retire early. Because I was off work for 16 years, I'm slated to retire right now at about 69, and that is not going to happen. So I want to change, and I am changing the trajectory of my life by simply deciding to do Pampered Chef and to do it in a strong fashion so I can tuck more money away for retirement. So that's the beautiful thing about this business. It weaves in and out of your life based on your needs. And so maybe you started because you want extra money to pay off debt. Maybe you started because you want to save money for a wedding. Maybe you started because you love the products. Maybe you wanted something to call your own. There's so many different variables, but the beautiful part about this is that it meets every single solitary person's needs. And we always, and I'm saying always, stay relevant, because no matter what, people have to cook and people have to eat. Even when people say, oh, I don't really cook that much. True, but you microwave, but you do pull out a pot or a pan, you do pull out a knife, you do pull out a cutting board, no matter what, right? So those are the just simple things. Pampered Chef always stays relevant in a fantastic economy and a really bad economy. We just are. And that's just the beautiful part about this. So choosing Pampered Chef is a very, very wise decision. So again, welcome everyone to our new consultant training. So the very first thing, again, your recruiter is going to do is go over step one with you. So we're not covering that at all. And they also should be walking you through step two. One of the most important pieces of step two is the video and some of the outlines of what step two is about, which we're going to show you here in just a quick minute. So let's move on to just that. So I want you to take out a piece of paper. And if you don't have paper, because I know if I was asked to take out a piece of paper, I'd be like looking all around for paper, right? So if you don't have paper, it's okay, but at least open your note section in your phone. Okay, so I'll give you a quick second to do that. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we'll get moving on why that's important. So throughout the training, you're going to see these orangish yellow arrows that say take action. And these are the things that are going to propel your business and allow you to experience growth very, very quickly. I will tell you, just like I tell my host, if you tag team up with me, we are going to have a successful show or party. If you tag team up with me, or if you kind of allow me to take the lead and just simply follow me, you are going to be a success. Everything that we're sharing with you is tried and true. These are not new ideas. This is why this national executive team is the #1 team in the country, because we have all of the systems for you to step in and be successful right from the start. So you guys are in a really good place at a really good time. So the very first thing you're going to see on step 2 is the welcome video. You're going to see join the team pages. That's going to be your director's responsibility to add you to those team pages. We also have a link. So every time you're going to get this PowerPoint after the meeting tonight, but every hyperlink is in blue, which means there's material or numbers behind that. So that way you'll know when the Monday night calls are, you'll know what not content, but you'll know the number and the Zoom information each and every week. If I were you, that is probably one of your best money makers, is attending those Monday night meetings. If you do not, they're a huge source of information. So first, I've kept forgetting about them. So I took that link, I put it on my Google Calendar, and I have 4 reminders: 4 days out, 2 hours out, 1 hour out, 5 minutes out, because I need it, right? And it buzzes me on my watch, it buzzes me on my phone, and I've made a new commitment to myself. I do not snooze anything. I don't snooze my wake up time, and I don't snooze any of my to-dos. So put it on your calendar, something digital, so you won't forget about these Monday night calls, because they are truly a fabulous source of information. Then letter C, it says, did you complete the 5 things in your to-do list? So you're going to find those 5 things here. So the purpose of saying this is I want you to write down step 2, letter C. That's an action item. Step 2, letter C. Step 2, letter D is watch the Pampered Chef video. And then step 2, letter E, is to schedule a call with your director. So those are the 3 action plans that you'll want to take on step 2 if you haven't already done so. Okay, so let's move on. And now we're going to start getting heavily into booking your first parties, because this is how we make money with Pampered Chef. So you're going to notice one thing about this 7 steps. There's a lot of content below book your first parties. But if you don't have parties, you don't need to learn how to set up parties. And if you don't have parties, you don't need to learn how to run your parties. You don't need to learn how to book from your parties, and you don't need to learn how to recruit from your parties. So my suggestion is put your feet in the cement on number 3 and don't leave until you have the schedule that you want, because then it makes sense. You have all these parties, let's set up the parties. Now you have all these parties, let's run them. Let's get bookings from them. Let's recruit. So these are all put in a very strategic place, so that you want to kind of stay in line. And then you're going to see other resources. Other resources are packed with how-to videos. So if you say in your mind, how do I do this? How do I do that? That's there. And if you see anything missing, let us know, and we will add a video to it. So that it's a fairly up-to-date document as of April. So in all likelihood, everything you need is there, but there have been times where we needed to add things. So just please let us know. Okay, so let's talk about some action items. Write down the word step 3. And the first thing that you want to do is just write in watch booking video. Okay, this video is going to teach you how to use the next most used item ever, and that is our booking flowchart. So most of these videos are going to be short, they're going to be brief, less than 10 minutes, some are even less than 5. So watching the video on step 3 is your first action item. And then on step 3, you want to also write in words to book your first party. So the booking words is fine for that. So you want to take action by watching the video and take action by opening up that document. My suggestion is if you do not know how to bookmark something, well, that's actually where we're going to go next. So let me show you how to do that. So I put a little bookmark here. This is a very, very important document, and you cannot see my screen here, but if you could, right in this area of my screen is little favorites. So if you go into your computer on the right-hand side, you usually will see 3 little dots. You click that and it will show you what bookmarks you already have. But if you don't, then all you have to do is highlight that URL, so that top address. Once you highlight it, drag it down and it will bookmark it. And that's how mine sit, because I want to be able to have access to that with a snap of a button, and then I am done. So if you're not sure how to bookmark things, just Google it. But what I shared with you is absolutely what it takes. So this is called the booking flowchart. So this is a brilliant document. Again, I use it every single day. Why? Because I get no's every day. Why? Because I get people that don't respond. I get people that say yes, and I get people that say no every single day, right? So this is that 6-minute video that I was referencing. The first thing that you want to do is watch the video. Second thing you want to do is click the link, and it says first booking ask words. So they're going to give you 3 different phrases to use to get bookings. Now, I'm going to be straight up. So when I started this business, Stacey's like, pick one of the 3 phases. Honestly, I didn't like any of them, but I tried to pick out the best one of them all, at least how I felt. And I'm kind of a stickler about that. So I wanted it to be something as professional as possible, but also warm, friendly, and inviting. So the first one kind of hit my buttons. There was just a one word in there that triggered me. And it says, will you be my guinea pig? And I said, Stacey, I cannot say that. And she says, oh, yes, you can. And I like to be coached directly. Like, tell me how it is. If I'm doing something wrong, why go down the wrong path continually? Let's shake it up and let's get on the right path. So she's like, Lorraine, those are the words you want to use. She's like, honestly, those are the words I used as a brand new consultant from start to finish. I never changed them. Just people gave me some extra suggestions. And that's what I ended up adding to these calls. So the first set of words will say, do you want to be my guinea pig? So I begrudgingly send out those words to 15-ish friends on my very first try. Or I'm sorry, I sent out 15. That was my first day of reach outs. 12 of the 16 were like, oh my gosh, Lorraine, I'll be your guinea pig. Sure, Lorraine, I'd love to be your guinea pig. Every single one of them, all 12 said guinea pig, guinea pig, guinea pig. And I was convinced that was it. So do not second guess these words. These words work. I will tell you, there are consultants that try to change up the words in a dramatic fashion. And I can remember I was talking to a consultant a little less than a year ago. She's like, Lorraine, I've sent out 60 messages and I have no responses. And they're her friends. So I was like, all right, you got to screenshot some things and send it to me because I got to see. Like, I'm thinking, what could go wrong? Like, maybe she's got this Facebook jail situation. Well, when she sent me the words, I was like, holy smokes, where'd you get these words? She's like, oh, I just made them up. And I'm like, no, like one of those scenes. You don't want to make stuff up. So thankfully, we were able to recover some of those people, not all of them. Had she used the words, the ones that we set forth, she would have been much more successful. Also, do not just put some willy-nilly words together when it comes to the response. The responses are super critical. If somebody tells you no, make sure it's really a no, because sometimes it's a no, not now. Sometimes it's a no because. So those are my favorite. Like, I always get like really excited when somebody's like, I would, but, or I can't, but. Those are my favorite because I love, love, love to use this section here. So when somebody says no, but, you're going to go here and there's about 15 or 20 different responses. Like, the person doesn't have time. Here's your answer. The person says they don't want to have their friends spend money. Here's the answer. Friends have been to tons of pampered chef parties. Here's your answer. You use these words, you will secure more than 50% of those no buts. Truly, it works like a champ. So make sure that this document is front and center digitally on your computer so you can use it every single day as you navigate through your business. Now, for those of you that are not new and you're coming back, and even those of you that are new, I would challenge you to do something that's potentially something you've never done before. And that's where we're going next. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this really important take action. You see, take action is the entire screen because this is your make or break screen. So all of you, I'm almost 1000% positive, have more than 150 friends on Facebook. I say friends with quotation marks because we all know most of them are not your friends. They're going to call up to say, how was your day, right? But they are your acquaintances at the very minimum. So here's what I'm going to suggest to each and every one of you. Tonight, make a list of 150 people. Do it, do it, and do it. You will be so glad. So take the time tonight to make this list. And then your next step is to take action tomorrow. Or if you have time, do it tonight. And reach out to a minimum of 30 of those 150s for 5 days in a row. As a result, this is tried, this is true. Remember, this is the greatest thing about sales. It is a numbers game. And if you work the numbers work for you. If I look at my schedule and I don't have the number of parties I want, there's one person to blame. It's just simply I didn't make enough reach outs or I didn't make enough follow-ups. But that's the beauty of this, is that we know where our downfalls are, right? So you want to try to remove yourself from the equation completely. Like, don't think, oh, I might be bugging them, or, oh, I don't want to follow up, because that's all about you. It has nothing to do with them. What happens is we have a tendency to put ourselves in the equation when in essence, this really is an ask about them. This is for you to be able to treat them to a party. And that's how the words are tailored, so you get a better response. So what you want to do are these first 4 reminders. You want to make sure that you have set up your launch party with your director. If you haven't, it's a great time to do so. But if you have, then you're on your way. If you just did a party because you were a host, ask your director about a shared rewards party, because it's a great second option to be able to do another party with your friends and give them a discount up to 25% off. Use the words in step 3 and then start reaching out to at least 30 people a day. But don't go over 50 in a 24-hour period, because Facebook has these rules and everybody's rules are different. Like, they all have rules, but I might be able to send 30, you might be able to send 50, and somebody else on our team might only be able to send 15. But usually 30 to 50 is about your max per day. And you'll know when you're reached your limit, because it'll give you a do not send sign, or don't send, or hasn't sent, or something like that. It's in red. You'll see it. You just wait 24 hours and then you can come back and do it again. The most important part of all this, and I'm going to give you the tracker tonight, is to use a tracker to show your results. Here's the thing. You reach out to 30 per day. You might remember 5 of the 30 that you reached out to. Then you reach out another 30 tomorrow. But if you have to go back and reach out to those first group of 30 because you need to do a reminder, it's going to be really hard to do reminders if you don't have it written down, right? So recording them is just as vital as doing it, so you know where you are. So here are the results. I like to set the expectations to let you guys know it's never going to be 30 for 30, right? Results of 30 reach outs 5 days in a row happens every single solitary week with new consultants. These are the daily results. 30 reach outs, which is what the RO stands for. 15 approximately will see it and not respond. So a lot of times new consultants and even seasoned consultants will say, wait a minute, they looked at it, but they didn't respond. That means they don't want to have a party. And that's just not the case. So think about this logically. You're at Walmart, you're in the line paying for your stuff, and you get a notification on Facebook. It's a long line. So you check your message. You check the message. Somebody says, hey, will you do a Pampered Chef party? Because you're not a consultant at that point. And you check it, but you're right in the middle of the line and you don't want to hold up the line. So boom, the notification is gone. You checked it and you didn't respond. Or I'm changing, not me, but you're changing a baby's diaper and you're certainly not going to answer that text right then and there. You might see it. The notification then goes away. Maybe they're at a ball game. Maybe they're washing dishes. Maybe they just don't know if they want to have a party. So they're kind of taking in your info and digesting it. And that's why we must follow up, because if we take the non-response as a response, you're going to miss out on 50% of the people. And the fact of the matter is, no response is not a response when it comes to Pampered Chef. So all of those variables are mixed in. So once you do your first reach out, I usually give it 2 days and then I'll do a follow-up. And then if they don't respond to that follow-up, I do another follow-up. And if they don't respond to that follow-up, I do another follow-up. And so I follow up with them 3 to 4 times. Now you might think, oh, that's crazy, but the fortune of sales is always in the follow-up. Think about it like this. You're going in tonight to buy a car. In your mind, you're probably not going to buy a car tonight, right? So the car salesman knows that his rate of success is extremely low, like less than 5%. I've read these statistics online. And they know that they really have to make that connection. They have to build the relationship, and they've got a small window of opportunity to do that. So they have a lot of obstacles against them, from the car to simply selling it to making sure finances are correct. There's a lot of variables against them, right? So ultimately what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are doing the follow-up, because here's the thing. They just invested 2 hours into Michelle. They don't want Michelle to go anywhere, but they know the night is over. So they have to follow up. Same thing with real estate agents. They never expect to make the sale on the same day. They know it's about relationships and building that trust, and then ultimately tons and tons and tons and tons of follow-ups. Thankfully, with Pampered Chef, 3 to 4 is usually what we do. And the interesting piece of this is usually Those 3 to 4 are super effective. Like that's where I get the bulk of my parties, is usually around follow-up 2 and follow-up 3 and sometimes follow-up 4. It's crazy, I know, but it absolutely works. So never ever think, oh, I'm bugging them, because that's just not the case. Because here's the thing, if they didn't want to do it, they're going to tell you no right away. So that's how we work our business with Pampered Chef. So right here, 15 will see it approximately, and they're not going to respond, but you must follow up with those people. 10 will respond with no or no because, and that's where you want to go back to your 3 steps, step 3, excuse me, and use the words above for no because. So no because is always a great, great problem, because you have the resolve. Okay. I love when they do that. And then 3 will likely book, 5 would be amazing, right? So that's what you can expect. 10% of those that you reach out to will book. And then when you get a yes, you're going to give them the date, your very next Friday. So if I was reaching out to people today, I'm going to stack up the 19th. When the 19th is full with at least 4 parties, I'm going to stack up the 26th, and then I'm going to move forward each and every week just like that. So let's talk about why we focus in on the number 4. We focus in on 4 parties every week. And there's a strategic plan that we have that works like a champ. So this is what happens each and every week, like truly almost no fail. Okay. So you have 4 parties a week, right? 1 is going to flop. And sometimes it's that person that you thought was going to have an amazing party, but just they didn't participate. Maybe they had a situation in their family. Maybe they just don't feel like it for one reason or the other. Or maybe they just haphazardly invite 20 people. And we all know that's not going to work. So one of your parties every week is going to flop. So if you only have 1 and it's your flop, it's kind of frustrating, because you're like thinking to yourself, does this really work? Well, the law of averages are against you if you have 1, right? But the law is in your favor if you have more. When we talk about more, we're talking about 4. 1 person a week oftentimes will join your team, and we have strategic pieces in place to allow that to happen as well. The only thing that separates you from that person joining and you from that person not joining is you, right? You have to ask them those questions, and they're already in the format that we've presented to you through boards and through this 7 steps document. And you will submit 2 of those 4 parties, maybe 3, because certainly not every week do I have a consultant that signs, but oftentimes there are several that join my team each month because I ask them, right? That's the only thing that separates me from somebody else, or the reason Stacy recruits so many is because she asks so many. So it's all relative in that regard. So 4 parties a week, 1 will flop, 1 typically joins, and then 2 parties are submitted. So you can look at 4 parties as 3 parties may go in, but at least 2 will definitely go in. So that is the process. So let's talk about what if. All right. So what if Lorraine in April of 2023 only had 2 parties that week? It would have been a sad week, right? $59. Not worth it to me to do this. I need more money than that to make this worth my while, right? So I try at the very minimum to book 8 to 10 parties a week, because I know 8 to 10 parties are not going to go through. I'm always going to deduct at least 2 to 3, maybe 4 even, because the higher the numbers you have, you're still going to have that law of average. 1 and 4 are going to end up flopping no matter what. So if you have 15, you're going to have at least 3 or 4 that flop. It's just, again, the law of averages. So here's the party sales. Party sales for Beth were 0. This is the host that just didn't really want to do a whole lot. This host actually did invite a lot of people, but her friends just didn't participate as much as she would have liked. As a result, my commission would have been $59.29. However, I had many more parties. And so this was actually the result. I had 9 parties on that particular week. And as a result, my sales were $5,127 for that week. And my commission was $1,384. Now we're talking. Now that's way more than even I anticipated, to be completely honest, but it is about average when I have this many parties. So if I have less, then I have less. So let me put this into perspective. Let's say you only made half of that commission and you only sold half of that commission. That means your paycheck for that week is around $700. And I would imagine that most of you would be like, hey, $700 a week from this side business would be fabulous. So remember, I had 9 parties. So if you had 4 consistently, you would be beginning to build up your show average, because the beautiful thing about this is people are going to buy this product no matter what you do. Doesn't matter what you do, right? If they can relate to you, if they trust you, if they like you, they're going to book parties with you and become consultants with you. So you're going to sell no matter what, because the product is a standalone product for the most part. But when it comes to the booking, it comes to the sales, it's really important that you create that relationship. So these are all the parties that went in. And actually there was 3 parties that week that I was trying to show you, but I realized I covered the wrong one. So after my first month with Pampered Chef, my goal was to make $1,000 a month, because that's how much money I wanted to put away towards retirement extra each month. And so I went out and I did 8 parties in my first week. So that was a couple, like two a week actually, because I only signed up like 3 weeks into April. So this was 2020. So this was a result of my paycheck, a result of my effort, I should say. You can see here, 8 parties. And the commission was $2,111.24. So that's a game changer for most people. That's a way to change the trajectory of your life right there. Think about every single month you're bringing in $2,000. That changes a lot of perspective for a lot of different people. So think about it if that was per week. And think about it if that was every couple of days. And I say that because, just to give you an example, since you are consultants, we can kind of tell you this. Our national executive director on average, and there's months where she is way above average, will make about $50,000 a month. So the sky is the limit. It's just truly the stick-to-itiveness and making the decision to work your business consistently. And really all you have to do are those reach outs. That's it. That keeps your business very consistent. So let's move on to talk about some of the rewards, because we have 2 sets of rewards. One of them are selling rewards and one of them are recruiting rewards. So if you just signed up between March and June of 2023, these are your rewards. So when you hit $500 in sales, you're going to get the brownie pan and you're going to get the cake duster. Then when you hit $1,250 in sales, you're going to get the mixer, which is awesome. I just used it this weekend to make some icing for a dessert. And then you can get the pan at $2,500 and the knife block set at $5,000. So Pampered Chef is super generous, over $1,000, in products just from that, but there's more to come. So Pampered Chef gives you 90 days, but most of the consultants on my team who follow my lead usually hit the 5,000 in sales in their first 45 days to 60 days versus all the way pushing it to the 90 days. It's just simply following the strategies that we have for you. So let's show you what you get if you just signed up in May of 2023. So if you sign up in May in 2023, you end up getting an extra package, which gives you an additional $750 in products. And these are our new summertime tools, including our cup slicer. That's been an absolute craze. So again, over $1,000 in products through our selling rewards. So based on your sales is based on your reward. And ultimately you want to go for it. Like, this is the time. Once you go past your 90 days, you don't get them back. So this is really the time to maximize your effort. So let's talk about some more rewards. And the rewards are money. And this is all about working smarter, not harder. In order for me to make the kind of money I would want to make with Pampered Chef, now that I see the potential, I'd probably have to work 24 hours a day. And if there was more hours in the day, I'd probably have to work those too. And I say that because it's really the truth. Like, in order for me to make that, that's what I'd have to do. But because I decided early on, really in my very first month, and I'll tell you how that went, I decided I'm going to start, telling this business to everybody, because why would I want to keep it from anybody? Like, I know when I get like this great, like I got this 35% off coupon from Kohl's. I called my mom, my sister, and one time I even posted it on Facebook because it was called like a friends and family. Think about all the people that I just shared that with. And I didn't think, oh my gosh, my friends are going to be offended if I tell them about this Kohl's coupon, right? No, this is a helpful thing. And honestly, let's think about it. When we walk into Walmart these days, it's hard to get out of Walmart with less than $100 worth of stuff and you don't get that many bags when you walk out. So grocery prices, gas prices, the economy is really in the tank, but again, doesn't affect Pampered Chef. This is when our recruiting growth is crazy because people need extra money. And especially as we're entering into the summertime, people are looking for camps for their kids, Vacations sometimes are canceled because they just don't have the extra money. So this business can potentially be a lifeline for somebody, but the only way they're going to find out about it is by you. So let's talk about the rewards as a result, because you get rewarded handsomely when you simply share this business. Now, Allie's on my team, Michelle is not on my team, and Tammy's not on my team. You're in my organization, but you will see your recruiters aren't here, right? So you're not going to have to train your people. You are just the fisherman finding those people. We help you reel them in, and we help them become their own fishermen. And so that's how this business works. So you don't have to worry about, well, how would they get support? It's the same way you get support. And remember, support goes both ways. So if we don't know that you might be struggling or might need an accountability partner, we don't know what we don't know. So whenever I'm struggling, like there was a part of my business I was struggling with last week, I immediately messaged my director. She gave me this great tip, boom, done. Now I'm moving on. So we all do it. We all have these bumps in the road, but again, they're just bumps. So first, the first recruiting rewards are the benefits of the kit, which is beyond the kit actually. So if you look here, every new consultant that you sign in your first 90 days, and they do their 1250 in their first 90 days, which oftentimes they complete with their first parties because we do that launch party, you get $100 cash bonus for every single one. So I remember Allie, we were talking the other day and she's like, so if I recruit, is there a limit? That was her first question. And then I was like, no, if you recruit 15 this month, you get a $1,500 bonus. And that's how this works. There are no limits. In addition to that, you get 50 Pampered Chef dollars as well. So this is in your first 90 days. So let's talk about the cash that sits on the table. Because when you sign up, they give a $3,000 bonus is in Allie's name, Michelle's name, Tammy's name. Everybody gets it in their first 6 months, actually, when I say the $3,000 bonus. So this is the structure of what it takes to get that bonus. This is called director structure. So as a result, you sign 5 people or some fashion of that structure, which you see here below. And then you're going to see what you get. So you get a $500 bonus when you promote to a director in your first 90 days. You get another $500 bonus when you hold that title for 3 months. And then when one of your people promote to a director as well, you get a $1,000 bonus and a $1,000 bonus. And this is huge. That's $3,000 in bonuses. You might think to yourself, well, Lorraine, that's a lot of things going on. You're right. But if you follow what we have put in place, you'll hit it. We've had many, many people on our team hit this $3,000 level. And they just literally, I say, you're one side of the Velcro, I'm the other. We're stuck together until you decide to pull off. And most people don't do that because they want that help and that accountability. So let's say this is Allie. Allie goes out, she starts sharing the business, and she signs Pat, Chris, Les, Jill, and Kim. Boom, she's a director. People have done this in their first week of business. Our one consultant ended up recruiting 39 people in 3 weeks. So, and we said, well, what did she do? And she's like, well, we followed what you said. So there's no magic to this. It just happens, right? You got to ask enough people. Then you have Michelle. Michelle signs Pat, Chris, Les, and Jill. And Chris catches the fever and he signs Kim. And then we have Tammy. Tammy signs Pat, Chris, Les, and Sue and Kim are signed by Pat and Les because they caught the fever as well. So we're about to have another director promotion on our team in just a few weeks. And this is the structure that took place to make that happen. So any of these structures work, doesn't matter how they work. It just has to be in that fashion. So this is the time to buckle up your seatbelt because this is where this business gets wild. And that is when you become a director. I don't like this. I got to change that because he looks mean and we're not mean. So the director paycheck is insane, insane. So let me give you a little story behind it. So I finished my 8 parties in my first month. Remember, $2,100 paycheck. I call Stacy and she's like, that's fantastic, Lorraine. I was like, oh my gosh, here's my paycheck. This is what I made. And of course she already knew, but she's like, Lorraine, think about this. Take that excitement and share that excitement because you can't recruit me because I'm already recruited, right? So I'm like, well, that's a good point. But I'm like, I didn't sign anybody. Well, no, she said, how many people did you sign from those 8 parties? And I was like, nobody. And she's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, well, did you ask them? And I said, I used the word, some of them at least, but I didn't use all of them. Like I couldn't lie. I had to be honest. And she's like, okay, let's create a plan. So she gives me the words and you guys have them as well. They're in boards. She says, I want you to go back to your 8 hosts and I want you to send them some information that I'm going to send you, the wording basically. So I sent it out to my 8. Boom, I signed 2 of my 8. And I'm like, okay, this works. This is easy. And then she says, okay, second step. I want you to go through every party that you had, all 8 of them. And every time you see these, every time you see a recruiting post, I want you to collect those names and put them on your show-based tracker, which I'm going to give to you guys. Well, I was floored as to how many people were commenting on these recruiting and booking posts. So I also created a booking tracker as well. And I just took all those names and placed them onto my trackers. And she saw my tracker because we have a shared tracker, just like you'll have one with your recruiter. And she was like, Lorraine, let me tell you right now, you message all of these people, you are going to have likely 10 new consultants on your team before your second month is over. And she was wrong. I had 12. So literally all I did was follow the words, use the follow-ups, everything is in boards, everything is in the 7 steps. That's all I did. Literally a very systematic approach. And this is what happened. So the paycheck was $7,434 as a result of doing what I did. And had I not been a director, the paycheck would have been closer to $3,900. And being a director typically gets you close to a double paycheck from your first month to when you become a director. So we're talking total game changer here. Like this is like a whole new level of holy smokes, right? So that trend continued. And for 6 months of Pampered Chef business, I ended up making $48,000 and some odd change from this little part-time gig. So let me tell you, and I'm certainly not the best consultant ever, but I just literally followed the steps and that is what happened. And I decided, if I get a bunch of no's, it's just part of the process. And that's how I looked at no's. Think about this. If you have grandkids or you have kids of your own, and they want to eat a popsicle before dinner, and that's just like a no-no for you, well, that child is likely going to ask and ask and ask and ask. They don't give a you-know-what if they hear no, right? They just keep asking because no doesn't affect them emotionally. Well, eventually they'll probably cry, but they know that the more they ask, the better their chances are. Maybe they don't know that, but we know that. So that is how it works as an adult as well. But for some reason, adults, including myself, take no as such a negative thing when in essence, it's really not. So that is the way to kind of push through this process and make it really work for you. So we're going to briefly talk about setting your parties up, but we're not going to go too deep into it because here's the question for you. How vital is step 4 without parties that are booked, right? You don't need step 4 until you get your parties. So my suggestion is to put on what we call blinkers. Blinkers are what horses put on when they're in a race. They put them on so they're not distracted by outside situations, right? So if you put your blinkers on or your blinders on, whatever you want to call them, and you put your head down and say, okay, you know what? For the next 24 hours, meaning the next 3 days, I'm going to work through this list of 150 people. I don't care who says yes. I don't care who says no. I don't care who responds. I'm just going to do it. And if you do that, you're going to walk away with 12 to 20 parties. It's not anything that is a hard job to do. It's just being consistent over the next couple of days. Or I was going to say you could try to make them all in one day, but don't do that because Facebook might get messed up and I don't want to get you in Facebook jail. So try not to go over 50 per day. So that's why I said take 3 days to work this out. And it works, guys. There's no special formula. There's no magic pill. It's just working the numbers, and the numbers always work for you. That's why I love sales, because it's a simplistic approach. And when it's not going well, I know I need to take accountability. So here is a little bit about step 4. So this is going to be in your 7 steps. So I just want to briefly walk down what's going to happen in step 4. Step 4, you're going to create your Facebook business page, because we take our personal profiles and we take our business profiles and kind of merge them together. And that's how we create a party. Then you're going to go to PMP, which is Post My Party. This is the automated system. That's why it's really no different doing 4 parties than doing 8 parties. There's a little more time spent, but not much more, because it's all that systematic situation. And remember, Post My Party does all of that work for us. So all those posts are going in the party automatically. You want to watch how to edit a template. Every month we put a template together. You download the template into Post My Party, and then Post My Party talks to Facebook and sends out all all of those posts to all of those parties each and every hour or two that we have it set up. But you have to edit the template. If you don't, you will get an alert and you will likely go to Facebook jail if you don't edit it. So let's say, for example, this was a post, all of this, right? If you just took out line number 1 and just restructured that sentence, like you should really create a Facebook business page to make your parties grand. You changed it up enough where Facebook is not going to say, wait a minute, that's too identical to the other post. So you just have to do a quick change, 1 sentence change, fix up the words, and you're good to go. So you're going to obtain a current template from your recruiter. We don't give it to you though until you watch how to edit a template, because we don't want you to get in Facebook jail, and we don't want to get in Facebook jail as a result of you not knowing. So we want to make sure you've watched that video. You're also going to set up your parties on Consultants Corner, which is just a database for Pampered Chef. You're going to create a party group on Facebook. This will take you a couple of minutes to understand and to work through. So I set up 13 parties last week to run at the same time. It took me 30 minutes to set up 13 parties. The first party I set up on Facebook took me 30 minutes. So it's going to take a little bit of time. We've got this video down to a science, so probably will only take you about 10 minutes because we've made some serious improvements. But if you have multiple parties, it's going to take you a little time. So I would say, look at 30 minutes and you should be able to get 3 or 4 parties put in that period of time. Then we give you everything. We give you the banner that you want to put in your party. We give you the words to put in your party before everyone gets there. We give you images to put in your party. So everything is right here at your fingertips. And then it teaches you how to connect your Facebook party to Post My Party. Because remember, they got to talk to each other in order to get those posts out. And then here is a tracker that you can use, but we're going to give you a tracker that we actually use. That one is okay, but we want one that is going to cover all the bases for us and for you, and to help you keep organized the best we can. So we developed what is called a show-based tracker. And the show-based tracker is kind of like an all-in-one file cabinet. So your recruiter is going to go over all of these questions with you so they can help you be the most successful consultant possible. Everything I referenced in our call today is here. The board's application is here. The Read Rockstar board is here. You need the Read Rockstar board to have functionality in your parties. The 7 steps is here. The Monday night call link is here. And then we also have 2 other pieces that I'm going to go over called the Recruiting Scavenger Hunt and the Franks List. So then at the bottom here, this is the new consultant tracker. These are your party stats. These are your booking trackers. This is your recruiting tracker. And this is your team structure. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a live version of this so we can open up all of those pieces. So can you still see my screen that says, that has the show-based tracker on it? Great. Okay, so this is obviously just blown up a little bit more. Again, your director is going to go over all of this with you. These are the links. There's no links for boards because you're just going to put that into your app store, whether it's Google or whether it's iOS. Okay, so let's go into your party stats. So when you click that, it now opens up to another field. And so we've given you an example of what we're looking for. And this is very strategic on what we're doing here. And it's also really, really interesting when we create this picture. And we're at the end, we can actually create some analytics to say, okay, well, it looks like you're averaging about $400 a party, meaning sales, and you're averaging about 15 people in the party. So then that gives us a lot of perspective on what we can help you do, because it looks like your attendance is not where it needs to be. So maybe it's about host coaching. But if we don't have this data, we can't help you as much, right? We can just give you general questions. But now we can say, hey, Michelle, during Lynn's party, it looks like you had a $500 party. That's a national average. That's a pretty cool thing. Looks like 2 people commented on the recruiting post. Hold on, let me pull this down. 2 people commented on the recruiting post. 8 people did the host booking challenge, and you got 2 bookings or 2 whatever. So every time you have a party, you're just going to come down here and put all that content there. And then it gives us a chance to be able to analyze it and then make some improvements to help you out. So here is your booking tracker. Here is also the Franks list. So when we click this here, it opens up to another document. It might, oh, here it is. I don't know if you can see this. Can you guys see this list? Awesome. Okay, so Franks is an acronym for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kids, and miscellaneous / Facebook friends. From all of this, you should be able to create a list of probably 200 to 300 or more easily. And if not, then let's talk, because we can kind of help you think a little bit deeper, because this is an interesting way we do things. So a relative, I'll give you an example. My sister, obviously a relative, I asked her to do a party. She said no. And I was like, huh? But she did. So I then got really I kind of thought about this. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. From my sister's party, I would have met her friend, Kim, Sally, Lynn, and whoever else is her friends, right? So she didn't want to have a party. So I'm like, well, I'm going to call her friend, Nikki. I'm going to call her friend, Lynn. I'm going to call her friend, Hope. And I'm going to get a booking from them. And that's what I did. And then guess who ended up doing a party from them? She did. So sometimes they come around, but think about, see, it's really not who we know. And it's really not who we know. It's who they know, right? That's how we move beyond our immediate circle of friends and family. Like some consultants say, well, I can't ask my friends to do a party every week. No, the idea is literally after your first 30 to 45 days, you should never even have to go back to your family or friends unless they want to rebook. That's really the concept. So when you think about your friend, think about her friends too. When you think about your relatives, think about her relatives and her friends too. That really branches this out in a big, big way. And like for my sister, she had some friends that I completely forgot about. So I friend requested them, and down the line, I ended up asking them to have a party. So this just gives you some really good ideas and tips on people to ask. So let's say, for example, your first person is Cindy. You're going to write down Cindy's name. If she was a past host, put it here, her response, and then RO just means reach out method. And these cells are a little small. So we'll have to make them bigger, but it won't let me do it. Oh, here it goes. Okay. So for example, this is reach out 1 and the date, follow up 1 and the date, follow up 2 and the date, follow up 3 and the date, follow up 4 and the date. So sharing this document with us is going to give us such a big perspective and such data on what is going on, because what happens is a lot of times is we make the first reach outs, but we don't track it. And so we have a hard time making the follow-ups, right? So we are going to really implore you to do this, because this is truly where consultants will sink or swim. And sometimes consultants will come back and say, oh, you know what? I need a fresh start. Let me do exactly what you told me to do in the beginning. Trust me, it happens all the time. Recruiting tracker is sitting here. So same kind of concept. You want to write down all of your host name for the week, because they are all potential consultants. So they go down first, and then you have the way you've reached out to them, the activity, the response, and the follow-ups. So we also have this cool document called the recruiting scavenger hunt. And if you are ready to get off and just hit the ground running, not thinking twice, let's just make this business as big as it can, which is how that person recruited 39 people. She used this recruiting scavenger hunt, a form of it, and just wrote name after name after name after name after name. She had the words, she sent them out. She had the follow-ups, she sent them out. 39 consultants later. I mean, in the history of Pampered Chef, that's never happened. And it's so funny because, again, everyone was like, what did you do? And she's like, well, what you told me to do. So it just goes to show you that this totally works. You just have to work it. And then your team structure is when you get a first consultant, it'll start creating like a family tree here. And that way we can kind of look at your structure, especially for those of you that are like, yeah, I want to make that kind of money. I want to make some great money with Pampered Chef. The way to do that is truly to sign up other people. We coach and we train them. So that is our new consultant training for today. And as I mentioned, if your recruiter, if you haven't had your 30-minute phone call, you want to have that. If you haven't had, if you haven't gotten a show-based tracker from your recruiter, or not your recruiter, your director, you want to get that. And those are going to be the pieces that are going to help you build upon this. But if you think of that saying that I shared before, put your blinkers on, put your, your blinkers on. What do we call them? Blinkers. We called them something else too. I forgot. Blinders. If you put those on and you just focus down for the next 3 days, 50 people, 50 people, 50 people, you will have 12 to 20 parties. This just happened to one of my new consultants 2 weeks ago. She was like, I reached out to 200 people and she had 20 bookings in like 3 days. And it's just simply because she worked it and she worked the numbers. So nothing miraculous about it, but it is fantastic when you take the guide and you go with it, because then you get the results and then it gets super exciting. And then you're like, oh, now I get to, have the option to do this and be able to work my business this way. And it can change a lot of things in your life very quickly. So my suggestion is just to do that. If you focus on nothing more of what I said tonight, is to make your list of 150, take the next 3 days and reach out to 150. You're going to be off and on your way, and you're going to come back and be like, Lorraine was right, but really it's not me, it's Stacy. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any last minute questions, I have a couple of minutes that I can spare. Otherwise, I'm going back and finish my reach outs as well for the day. So any other questions?
Thank you so much, Lorraine. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it. No worries at all. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Well, if there's no questions, we'll wrap up for tonight. Thank you guys so much. And we look forward to celebrating your success. Have a great night.
Thanks.
You got
too.
it.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.